The BlokeBusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Pod Bros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts, such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the BlokeBusters podcast.
Welcome to episode 90 of the BlokeBusters podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Brian.
And today we will be talking about Wonder Woman, in case you hadn't guessed by looking at the title of the thing, because...
I'm sure Paul has come up with something clever at this point.
Yeah,
or marginally clever.
Well, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay.
I've come up with something.
Yeah.
It's up to the listeners to decide whether or not it was clever. And today we decided that two guys talking about Wonder Woman is not necessarily...
Not the wokest thing we could do. So.
No. So we decided to throw the net out, see if we could catch anyone to come on this, and two people that you may have heard before on this podcast that decided to come on and save us from just talking about this by ourselves. And the first one is Nora Crest. How you doing?
I'm good, Paul and Brian. How are you guys? I'm excited.
Great. Yeah, happy to get you on this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since you've been on. So.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to talk about Wonder Woman after actually having seen the movie and not just discussing it for a year leading up to its release. So
yes.
That's good.
Yes. Before doing more promotion than the company that was putting out the film.
Yeah.
But yes, and on top of Nora, we have a podcasting partner of hers, and I don't know if you've heard her before.
If you've been listening lately, then you either have very poor memory, or yes, I don't know, you hit yourself on the head, but
yes.
Yeah.
Or both.
Or possibly both, yes.
All of your listeners are going, oh God, not again.
No.
Yeah, I was seriously...
Do we even need to say her name?
I know, yeah. I was seriously contemplating just starting the podcast and having you butt in.
I was considering having her do the intro.
It's your resident dose of estrogen buzzkill.
Whatever.
So, yeah, she's back, everybody.
That is Kealeen Griffin, of course, yes.
Alright, so
yeah, it just got worked out this way. We didn't plan to do 4 episodes in a row together, I don't think, but it just kind of worked out to happen that way.
That's because I'm flaking out on our podcast because I'm moving, and that's my fault.
I know. Well, and hey guys, I'm podcasting from a parking lot because I'm also getting ready to move and trying to sell our house.
Yes.
And I'm moving to where Nora's moving from. So
I know. Leapfrogging.
But I'll be closer.
Yeah, we'll be on the same coast.
And myself and Brian are finally back in the same room as well. So
we haven't podcasted together for probably like a month, so or at least in the same room together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people all over the place here. Okay.
Yeah. Eventually, we'll actually put out a podcast where two people are in the same room and that's it. We won't have all these.
Let's not get people.
Okay. Alrighty. So Wonder Woman. And we'll get into that in just a second because I just realized I haven't done the social media side first. So I genuinely want to see how fast I can do this. So give me 1 second here. Brian, getting the timer going.
Alright.
Get a couple of breaths.
Yep. You got this.
You can follow us on Twitter at BlokeBusters, Facebook.com/BlokeBusters. You can email us BlokeBusterPodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram at BlokeBusters, and you can go to our website, BlokeBusters.webs.com. Time.
9.36.
Ooh,
Yep, you got it.
Still under 10.
Over 10 is not acceptable.
Yeah,
so yes, you made it.
It's got to be that quick every time now.
All right, so you can play that at half speed. and
you can probably make it out.
Yeah.
Right. Or you can listen to literally every other episode where we keep going.
You found us, so yeah.
Yeah. You found us. Lucky you.
Yeah, so Bing. Yep.
Yes. So yes, as I said, Wonder Woman, directed by Patty Jenkins, production budget of $149 million, so overall total budget including promotion probably about $150 million, and then a box office of, as of 45 days, $764,886,078 US worldwide.
Not too bad.
Yes,
okay.
doing quite well for a DC film. And
any film ever. Let's not.
Obviously, doing quite well for a film period, doing fantastically for a DC.
Well, it's poised to be I think it's maybe currently the third highest DC film behind The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, I was looking it up on Box Office, and it was saying that for the DC Extended Universe, it is number one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, and then for the DC Comics brand, as you say, just behind those two. So
I'm sure it's going to surpass both of those. I mean, I don't have a doubt about that.
Yeah. Well, if you just very quickly look it up here, let me get loads in properly. So The Dark Knight Rises was 448 worldwide.
Wow.
So it's got 68 to go on that one. The Dark Knight, 534 million. So might not catch that, but we'll see.
You never know.
I think it'll be in theaters for quite a while yet. Yeah, I mean, I saw it.
It hasn't even transitioned to the cheapy theaters yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's regular theaters.
It only fell 30% despite this past weekend. Despite they lost something like 370 theaters or something like that, and they still only fell 30%. So people are going to see this again. And that's the big thing with this day and age in movies is that repeat viewings are exceedingly rare.
Yeah, and how many times did you see it?
I saw it twice.
I saw it 4 times.
I'm
still not done. I could. Had I not been, I would have already seen it at least a dozen times now.
I think I need to go see it. I'll know I've seen it enough when I don't cry.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I think that'll be around watch 30 or 40 for me.
And what I'm surprised at is last week Spider-Man opened, and then this week the Rise of the Planet of the Apes or whatever opened, and Spider-Man just fell, boom, instantly. And I really thought that one would have had a little more legs.
Nora, you gave me the perfect transition.
Yeah.
Forbes headline: Wonder Woman box office, the leggiest superhero movie since Blade. Blade.
Oh my god. Obviously.
They had to go back to the 90s to find a movie that held up this well.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very happy for the success of films.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it twice. I saw it most recently this past Thursday. We are recording this on Game of Thrones premiere day, everyone. Okay, so yes.
Winter is here.
Winter is here, yes.
I have not watched one preview for Game of Thrones. I just want to say that for the record. I just want to see it.
I can give you better than that. I have not watched an episode since season 1.
Okay, good for you, Paul.
You're missing out, Paul. That's just
yes, you are.
I'm not allowed to.
But we will not get into that. So anyway.
Actually, it was with my repeated harassment that Nora got caught up.
Okay, so yeah.
Oh yeah, I was a whole season behind. I finally caught up.
And I was like, come on, I can't tell you how many people I've harassed into catching up.
Okay. So this was my fault for bringing up Game of Thrones. I'm sorry.
Killeen's on the podcast. This is going to happen.
No. It was my fault.
It's bound to happen.
Yes, I mean I couldn't let it. But anyway, yeah. So I saw it just a few days ago, and this was on my day off, a Thursday matinee, and it was relegated to kind of like the back theater in the big theater I go to, but it was probably a 50-seat theater, and it was mostly full on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I bought my tickets on, through Fandango, and I'm like, I'll have the pick of the litter. Not that, I expected a few people to be in there, but no, there was like maybe 4 or 5 empty seats. And yeah, I was very happy to see that.
The thing about this movie is anybody can see it. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
It appeals to everybody.
And listen, this movie's so important to me. I actually took a shower and got, put on deodorant and stuff to do this podcast, even though you can't see me. That's how important Wonder Woman is to me. I have to be clean and presentable to speak about her.
Yes, show the proper respect.
That makes fun of us.
I mean, yeah. And then Paul, I'm assuming you've just seen it the one.
Just the one.
Okay.
Yes, I've only had time to see it.
Okay, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what having a 9-month-old daughter.
But still, 9 watches between the three of us.
Yeah, that. In case you haven't been keeping up with the podcast, that's kind of why we haven't been doing as many in theater.
Why don't you just take a page out of the T-Rav playbook? You don't need to be super involved in the child,
Yeah.
Wait, you've got Catherine with all the nanny to do that.
Yeah. I need my ginger bourbon. Okay. All right. So who is in this bloody thing, Paul?
Who is in this thing? Well, let's see. I have written down 5 names.
Oh, and I'm waiting to hear. I love your pronunciation, so let's hear it.
Well, let's see. Obviously, I have heard this pronounced 2 different ways, but I'm sticking with Gal Gadot.
Gal.
Just
It's
because.
actually Gal Gadot. Yeah,
She
it's
pronounces
actually
the T.
Gal Gadot.
If she pronounces it
But
with
the first
T,
name is
then-
Gal, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's Gal
because
Gadot.
Graham Elwood was saying Gale his whole episode and it was bugging the hell out of me.
Gale.
Gale. I don't know how you get Gale
That
out
would
of
only
Gale.
work if there was
No.
some sort of an accent.
Yeah, on
over
Comedy
the A.
Film Nerds. Yeah, he was. I mean,
Yeah,
I love that show, but
overthinking it.
yeah, I'm like,
If-
no,
okay,
you don't
in
need
that case,
to try to church it up that much.
If
It's
she
fine,
says
Gal.
it with the T, I'm going to say it with T.
Gal
So Gal Gadot.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's Gadot. Yeah.
As Diana Prince or
My favorite Animaniac, Gadot.
as
Yeah.
as Wonder Woman, obviously. And so there's that. We got Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, a guy who my wife would hate because he has 2 first names. For some reason.
Not a big
that's
Billy
thing.
Joel fan?
No.
No? Oh, that's too bad.
Robin Wright as General Antiope.
Antiope.
Antiope. See, there you
Whatever.
go. Hey, show some respect.
It's been a little while since I've seen the
Uh-huh.
film. I didn't research that. I'm reading it off a piece of paper. But yes, Antiope. Thank you very much. Danny Houston as General Eric Ludendorff and Elena Anaya. Too many vowels.
Yeah,
As Isabel Maru, or the very cleverly named Dr. Poison.
And I think we need to also, at the introduction here, throw in Connie Nielsen as Hippolyta. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I didn't have time to write that down because we were kind of.
But we'll get
scrambling
into
to get
the extended cast as we
And
go.
yeah, absolutely. There's like
Mhm.
that's the thing. It's like there's like a deep dive of character actors. In
Yeah,
this.
like every.
A deep bench of character actors.
Yes.
Yes, there are a lot of people, and we just I haven't had time to write them all down before we started. So, where should we start?
I think we. Well, I always like on some of these big episodes to kind of talk about the history that we have or may not have with the character, or
I think that's important.
Let's dive into the mythology of Wonder Woman
Yes,
for a moment.
because I will fall on my sword to go first and say that Wonder Woman was never on my radar growing up, and that's kind of unfortunate, but also I am a white male and I did not suffer from a lack of mentors, both real and fictional. So
Yeah, but also you're
Well,
young.
yeah, but
Let me just say,
Linda
as the oldest
Carter-
person on this podcast, I grew up with Linda Carter.
Linda Carter.
Yeah.
No, I grew up with Linda Carter.
Right,
too.
you and I, but I mean, I'm older than
No,
you. But
I
yes,
grew up
we
with
both
Linda
grew up with Linda Carter.
we can all grow up with Linda Carter, okay?
Wonder Woman was my first hero, probably one of my first crushes ever,
Mhm.
and it's one of the longest. It's one of the oldest comic book characters that there is. She's part of the original DC universe, and has a bigger backstory probably than almost any of them. But I think what they did interestingly a few years back when they rebooted the entire DC universe is they went back to ground zero with Diana in her origin, and it's been really good. And this movie really follows that. It follows the reboot of her origin story to the letter, which is really good.
Well, unless it's Fox News and they're angry that Diana is not American, and they think that their theory is that they made Diana not American so that it would appeal to overseas market. Which, hey, in general, their theory is not wrong, but in this case, dude, has anybody at Fox News ever read a comic book? Probably.
I know. She's never been American.
They never admit it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Immigrants, an immigrant woman.
An immigrant, saving the world.
First lady?
Watch out,
Oh,
everyone.
no. Okay.
I mean, not only is she not American, she's not even a whole human. So there's that.
Spoilers, jeez. It's only been out for like 8 weeks.
Story. We're talking about the origin story.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
right there from the beginning.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
I
fair
wonder
play.
if they had any issues with Superman. What do you think? Is that
No,
He hasn't come up.
he's a
white
man.
male.
Everything's fine.
He's literally a dreamer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
He was an alien. He was an alien brought to this country.
illegally.
No.
He's an illegal alien.
Yeah, he didn't go through
So he's
passport control.
Superman's a dreamer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Steve King wants him out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, he's effectively the Syrian refugee of Krypton. Kind of. He had to get out of there.
He is.
Yeah.
But I will say this, just flipping back here to Wonder Woman real quick. The other reason for me personally why Wonder Woman was like a super unbelievable hero of mine is I'm Greek. So she's like a descendant of a Greek god. So that made it like even more significant for me, which I think is awesome because it sort of, in a roundabout way, teaches young kids about Greek mythology, like in a super cool way, versus like, you know, like when you're learning it in school and you're like, why do I care who all these people are? You know?
Yeah, most people, I think, that will have seen this film, their main information gathering on Greek gods, probably Hercules. As in the Disney Hercules.
The Disney Hercules, or you know, the other one that was from the 70s that they remade with Sam, what's his face?
Clash of the Titans.
Thank you, Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
I took not one but two mythology classes.
I did. I took that.
Oh boy, they are dense.
It is dense, but this is way more fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and the
absolutely.
Thing is, they are actually starting to introduce that into the curriculum. I know from teaching it earlier on, like 6th grade. That's a huge chunk of curriculum is learning about Greek and Roman gods.
Oh wow! Well, that's good. They're fun.
Wow. When I was at school,
and the way we have it is like Percy Jackson, but now they can also introduce.
Right. Yeah, that's another fun way to introduce Greek gods. Percy Jackson.
Yeah. So I always find that like literature like that, where it's just taking the old stuff and making it for new audiences, is always great because that does mean that people start to learn about things that they wouldn't have found about ordinarily.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I mean, I will say this, in leading up to the movie, of course, when I heard there was going to be a Wonder Woman movie, I immediately started thinking of all these women that I would like to see play Wonder Woman. And when they announced that Gal was going to play Wonder Woman, she says in an interview that people got upset because her boobs weren't big enough. That was never I know, yeah, she said basically she didn't have the bust line, and so people were like, like her boobs weren't Linda Carter's boobs. So that was never my problem with it. My problem that I had, and I was definitely in the past with Gal Gadot, was that I felt like, I'd seen her in The Fast and the Furious, and I'd seen her in some other things. I just thought, she's so skinny. Like, how is she going to be an Amazonian?
Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
And I was
how is she going to carry the physicality of this character?
And then when I saw Batman versus Superman, which I would have gone anyway, but the main reason why I was going was because I know she was going to be in the film, and I thought, okay, let me see what she's going to do with this. I was so blown away with the 5 minutes of screen time that she had in that film. And even without her in the Wonder Woman costume, just her as Diana at the party, the way she was holding herself, I thought, oh my God, she's Wonder Woman. And then seeing this film, I can't picture anyone else in the role.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And
I can't see anybody else.
And it makes me even more frustrated at DC for the way in which they've rolled these films out. Because imagine going into Batman vs. Superman, as completely flawed as that film is, but having seen Wonder Woman being emotionally attached to that character and rooting for that character and knowing her story, and then she pops. That's such a huge moment for you, and just would even completely steal the show on a whole nother level.
Although
if she had her standalone film first.
I do have a little bit of a question about that then, because after seeing Wonder Woman, the fact that she's smiling while fighting Abomination at the end, Batman, I don't understand. I feel like she would fight because she has to, whereas she seemed to be really enjoying it.
Because she knows she's a god. This is like playtime for her. This is like and she's also fighting alongside another superhuman person and, the rich guy with gadgets, and they are like sucking, and it's just like, it's hilarious to her that these two idiots are like, in this situation.
Yeah, she knows she's going to win. She's like, I've fought way worse than you.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is I kind of hope there's another film down the line, which at this point that there has to be at least one where maybe she comes to terms with who she is and is able to.
Well, we're going to get to that because that's this film.
Yeah.
Well, but we got to go through the film here because otherwise we're just skipping to the end.
Well, also, and we will talk about, like, there have been some details released about the sequel that may have. I've got questions.
I haven't read the articles, so I'm behind on that.
Oh, boy.
I've been reading all the other articles that basically reveal behind the scenes stuff about this film, which I was really happy to find out. I mean, like a lot of stuff.
Also,
yeah.
Can we point out she is pregnant, at least during the reshoot?
During one specific reshoot, she was 5 months pregnant.
She had to wear like green screen like maternity Spanx, and they CC'd her belly out of it, but she was still like there kicking ass.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's awesome.
I did not know that. And well, I guess very quickly then for me, Wonder Woman, I only really knew about Wonder Woman through bits and pieces I saw of the Justice League cartoon that was on TV. Like I've never, growing up, was never really a comic reader. I enjoy the stories and stuff, but I never went down the shop, bought a comic and read it. So I really only started learning about all of these once it started becoming more mainstream, I should say. But I enjoy looking into this stuff. So I was excited to hear that they were doing Wonder Woman finally when they got around to it. And even when I heard who was in it, I was like, you know what? The person who's going to be Wonder Woman is going to try because no one is going to take the job of Wonder Woman and go, oh, that's a paycheck. Like, no, they're going to want to do justice.
Yeah.
So,
and I remember watching that first teaser trailer. I think it was in your in-laws' house, Paul, right? Was that?
Yes.
Yes, watching that and so excited after watching just stinker after stinker from DC, and I like having such high hopes for this, and like, please don't screw it up.
Every time I saw the Wonder Woman trailer, it gave me goosebumps every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And that just happened to me yesterday when I saw the world premiere of the trailer for A Wrinkle in Time.
I just got the alert on my phone like 20 minutes
project
ago.
out there. Holy shit!
Oh, and
Yeah.
Is that an amazing trailer?
Amazing.
I'll watch it after.
You gotta watch it. It's one of my favorite books.
Oprah being peak Oprah. Like,
Oprah.
Oh,
Thank you. Yeah.
What? Oprah?
Oprah's in it. Oh, you gotta watch the trailer.
Which Oprah?
We could do an entire podcast just about that trailer. I'm just gonna
Okay.
Well, and speaking of trailers, I also think it's interesting. It seems like they have there's a new trailer out for Justice League in the theaters, and it seems like they've cut it to feature her as the prominent character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they're going to do that because of the popularity. I mean,
they realized, like we want to see her. I'm sorry, like we want to see her, Jason Momoa, and maybe the Flash.
The Flash, yeah.
Yeah,
Batman,
but let me just say this though. I think they did not, as we all know from the box office and everything else, they did not predict how popular this was going to be. They did not predict how much people really wanted this. And honestly, they should have done a second Wonder Woman movie before Justice League. They should have. That should have been the order. But of course, now people will go see Justice League just to see more Wonder Woman to hold them over
and Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
And what? And Jason?
As Aquaman, because
I know. I will say this is the only time
like
Aquaman exists that he's been sexy and badass.
Yeah.
So.
To be perfectly honest, I rewatched the Justice League, the original Justice League trailer that they brought out a while ago, and like just seeing Aquaman on Batman's card and shit. I was like, are they trying to make him Drax? Like, is he just a big bulky guy that goes into battle? Is that what he's going to turn into? Because I hope not. I know everyone shits on Aquaman.
I guarantee you, he's still going to talk to the animals, and he's still going to hoard together. I want to see like a Sharknado type of scene where he just gathers all these like sharks up, and like.
Well,
and we have Iron Ziering just get devoured. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think he's gonna be like, dude, I can talk to animals, and they're way more interesting than your dumb ass Ben Affleck.
I think it's gonna be interesting. This is definitely. I will say this for the DC Dark Universe. I'm predicting that besides Wonder Woman, in terms of like a team film, this will be the best, team up in the DC universe yet. Because also everyone keeps forgetting Superman's dead, so we're having that whole storyline now where Superman's reborn, and he's kind of like, he's not really, he's not really the all-American superhero that he once was during that storyline. So we'll see how people react to that, because people who haven't read the comics are going to experience dark Superman, and I don't know how they're going to like that.
I think, and you know what? That's the thing. Henry Cavill I've seen him. He is capable. Like, he's been a good actor, Like,
Oh, he's a great
good.
actor.
He's good when he's being like nefarious and like when he's shady.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully this will give him a chance to put a more interesting spin on the Superman character.
Yeah.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, because to be perfectly honest, was it Brandon Roth did a better Superman-esque character in Scott Pilgrim than
Oh
they
god,
allowed
that was
him
great.
to do.
The vegan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Than they allowed Superman to be in either of the last two.
I liked Brandon Routh as Superman. People did not like that film. I liked it. And I liked the way it was shot. I loved Parker Posey. I liked the whole
Parker
thing.
was great, but she was about the only good casting
The only
choice I
thing I have
liked.
to say about that film is the same thing I have to say about almost all of these films, with the exception of Wonder Woman, is that they're too long because there's too much things happening. And that was one thing I did not experience in the 4 times seeing this film. It's still 2.5 hours long, but you never feel like at some point during the film it's dragging. Like,
No.
why do we have this scene? Why is this part in? Like, it's all flows so beautifully together.
Well, I think a lot of it is they were able to merge genres together.
Mm-hmm.
It was a superhero movie, it was a war movie, and it was a period drama.
Exactly.
All wrapped up into one movie.
Yeah.
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 And again, Box Office Mojo lists it as a World War I film. It has the highest box office, American box office of all time. So,
And now we have another World War I film premiering this week, which I predict is not going to do as well. Of course, is Dunkirk. Dunkirk is coming out. And I feel bad for them because they're coming out against Valerian, and I don't think that's a good debut week.
That's World War II.
Is it? No.
Dunkirk?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dunkirk
that's two.
Is it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Ask
all
the Brit.
stuff
It's
the same
Dunkirk.
when they're talking about the wars. And so they got so fucked both times. I mean, they
Yeah,
really did.
it's no matter what year it wasn't a good time.
No!
Dunkirk was not
You're
a
gonna
nice
have a
place to
bad
be.
time. Yeah.
No, basically England just
I
got
think
bombed the
Dunkirk
shit out of.
I think Dunkirk looks amazing.
Oh, I think it looks beautiful,
It's,
but I'm over World War II movies just as a genre.
Well, but Nolan like World War II movie.
Nolan
Like,
gives me, I don't want to see it from Mel Gibson, but I'll see it from Christopher Nolan.
And reunited from his former, two of the people from the Dark Knight universe, the Scarecrow and Bane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, let's face it, they are going to get the One Direction crowd going to this film because Harry Styles is in it.
I'm curious. We've talked about Harry Styles before on our other podcast.
Hey,
I'm curious.
He crushes it on SNL. So
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, I love him that much more than He Who Must Not Be Named. Justin Timberlake.
Yes, I know. I was trying to think of a clever way to not say it, but yeah, that's a good one. Make you say it. Okay.
I was considering trying to figure out a way of bringing up a box, but no.
Oh yeah. So probably at some point we should probably talk about.
The Dick in the Box.
Oh my god.
So
It's kind of bad.
I love that with two people that have wanted to talk about this film for ages, and us wanting to talk about this film. We have been going record time wise for 29 minutes.
Hey,
and we have covered
you gotta loosen the lips before we can get into that stuff.
When you said to get into mythology, I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, I wanted to see what the
I loved it. I would love podcasts to last this long.
I was like gonna go a bunch of different places.
I am genuinely sorry for your data bill next month.
We'll have a GoFundMe.
That's why you got to get T-Mobile, my friend. Get that unlimited data.
Hey, I will when I move out to California. Okay,
T-Mobile sucks ass in the Midwest.
T-Mobile is unless you're in Chicago, T-Mobile is absolute trash.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's great here on the coast.
I know. Oh, I know.
This podcast sponsored not by T-Mobile.
Not sponsored.
Sponsored by my T-Mobile plan, which I love.
Yes.
Thank you, John Ledger.
Not ours.
Alright, now the one thing that I did want to bring up that I wasn't sure I would touch on about the film, the music was not something I know about. But
okay, it's an interesting place to start. But okay.
Yeah, I know.
You're talking soundtrack here on this film?
Yes, the soundtrack. Did anyone else, every time they started playing that Wonder Woman, get slight chills raining down there?
Oh,
yes,
It's a
absolutely.
beautiful thing,
I love how they brought it in just a little bit each time the action started happening, and then saved it for the the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was great. That was
that may be one of the best themes in recent memory. Like, that's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, it immediately just gets me emotional. With the action on screen. I will say, and I think I've mentioned this, I don't know on a podcast, but I think I've definitely mentioned it to Kealeen. I'm not a big fan of the guitar riffs, the rock guitar riffs.
Right.
Those just don't mesh well with me in this. Yeah, I don't know. It just
I can see
it seems out of place. I'm
very
aware of that.
Like it even in this current one.
Well, there's just a little bit when she's fighting Ludendorff at the end. That's about the only time I think it comes in this movie. But it was definitely all over the place and Batman.
I love those guitar riffs. It's badass.
But I didn't think it belonged in this film.
I feel like it was overlaid with enough string accompaniment.
It's so jarring for me that it takes me out of the screen.
Well, I'm just going to give it up to Rupert Gregson Williams, who's the composer of that. Hats off to you, sir.
I love everything else. Just those 20.
He's from England. He's a Brit.
I love that it's interesting that the one person that no one brings up the score it's the one person that doesn't seem to enjoy it.
Oh no! You're not listening because I said 1% of the score I don't like. Yeah. But I love everything else.
And I even like the song that they released on the radio. Essentially, the Sia song "To Be Human."
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which is the one
that was good.
I like that a lot too. But I loved his score because I felt like it was very understated through the movie. It just carried you through, and then during the action sequences, you were so in it, and it was just really. It amplified it for me. I felt the emotion through it.
When she ran out on the battlefield the first time when they were in the trenches and she ran out, I cried.
Oh my God! I was trying not to make a sound because there's people sitting on left and right. I'm
there's been 20 articles that came out about that particular scene that they almost cut that out of the film.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
and can you imagine if you didn't have that scene? First of all, we need to talk. I've been asked, the barista at Coffee Bean that I go to all the time. We're super comic book nerds, and we've been talking about this film for almost 2 years. And so when it came out, he asked me. Specifically, he was like, what was your favorite battle scene in the film? Is it the one we're talking about right now where she comes out on the thing? Or is it, for her versus, God of War? And I said, neither of those scenes are my absolute favorite scene in the movie. I love both of them. But my favorite quote unquote battle scene is, very early on in the film.
Oh, with Antiope?
No, not even that. Where she walks into the war room with Steve Trevor and, translates the book for everybody because, of course, one of my favorite lines is it's Sumerian and so she's like, surely someone else here knew that. Come on, guys. Come on.
Do a little self-study here.
And that they're women aren't allowed in here.
I know, and that one general just keeps referring to her as, who is this woman? And then when he tells Steve Trevor, you're going to do nothing. You're going to stand down. We're going to get this peace accord signed. And she gets right in the general's face. And she's like, you should be ashamed of yourself. Where I come from, generals are on the battlefield fighting alongside their men, not hiding behind a desk, and where she just and Steve Trevor, if you watch the scene, I've seen it 4 times now, he just keeps trying to move her. And you really see her strength because he cannot physically control her ever. And she's just pushing him away like he's nothing. And she keeps coming back to the guy's face to tell him. Now, it seems like nothing because it's Wonder Woman, but if you look at the time period that's taking place in, you're talking about the turn of the century where a woman not only was in a room where they're discussing war and other things where she would never have been allowed, but the fact that a woman is standing up to someone who's a general and basically telling him he's a piece of shit in front of all these other people where women didn't have the right to vote.
Exactly,
they were still considered property in both America and England. It's a gigantic scene. It's
yeah, absolutely.
That is, to me, is that scene.
I noticed that the second time movie, especially
because there's no point during the movie where Diana considers herself anything other than what she is, which is a capable person who is the person who should get shit done.
Yeah, absolutely.
She never thinks of herself as a girl or as a super girl or, she just is like, I'm here, I can do stuff. Why is everybody making this hard for me?
Yeah, she's
Oh,
never anything less than an equal or even a superior to
exactly. And she
her.
doesn't look at other people as less than her either, which I think is really important, because a lot of times in superhero films, the superhero themselves is aware of their supremacy to the mortals around them, and Diana never considers herself that during any point in the.
That makes me want to bring up something else. They're like, okay, I love how they dealt with like her. It was one of the more charming aspects, and they kept it light, and the pacing about the lightness in it was perfect. When she was going into, the Western world of London, and Steve Trevor was like trying to like take her, and the secretary,
I love.
Yes. Etta, who is played by what's her name, Lucy Davis.
Yeah.
Who we
She's
know
fantastic.
who we know as Dawn from The Office, the original Office OG with Ricky Gervais, and also Shaun of the Dead. But she acted like bewildered, but not dumb about it. She was like more like, why? What's the point of these things? Like, she wasn't like, a lot of times when it's like this fish out of water stuff, it's like people are like, they're treating them like they're, oh, isn't this funny because they're so dumb to our ways. No, she just thought it as like frivolous, pointless.
Well,
Like,
I love her opening thing, like, this is London. She's like, it's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, and she's like,
Not for everyone.
Yeah, and she's like, why would I wear these clothes? How do I fight in these clothes? I cannot move in these clothes.
Yeah, rips a seam.
Or when she touches the bustier and she's like, is this what passes for armor in your country?
Yeah.
But see, at no point does she not know that she's on Earth. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no where she didn't believe she came from some magical, mystical place. I mean, she knew, like she says early on that to Steve, that they are the bridge to all mankind. Like, they have a very specific job on planet Earth, and they were put there, the Amazons, to basically bring about peace on Earth. Like, that's their mission. So she's aware of Earth. Obviously, she didn't know how everything had changed since she was reading all these books and stuff that apparently didn't have pictures of the current world in it. But, I liked her reactions to things, how she looked at the cars, when she sees the baby, and she's like, a baby. And he's like, no, that one's
and the ice cream.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, my favorite was the revolving door. That was
the revolving door.
She did a fantastic job with physical comedy in that.
But it's also another great scene where she is doing something, and then Steve is doing the atypical male role in a film. Like, let me help you. And she's like, and she doesn't even say to him, like, I got this. She's just like, boom.
Nope,
and she just does
like, I'm going to do it again. Yeah, I'm going to get it right.
Yeah, and that's throughout the film, no matter what she's doing, whether she's training to be a warrior or she's trying to go through the revolving door or whatever else, she's just like, I got this. Like, I don't need your assistance. It's very interesting, the tiny things that she does in the film that are so blatantly feminist, but not in a way where people just go, oh, feminism, that's for lesbians. And
he falls in love with her because she's like nobody he's ever met.
Because she doesn't need him. Yeah.
And that's clearly established from their boat ride scene, which P.S. was completely improvised.
Really?
That whole scene between them where they're having the whole, well, you want to sleep next to me? That entire scene was improvised. Like, Patty Jenkins put them on the boat and was like, okay, you guys are going to bed now, go for it. And that entire thing between them was improvised.
Chris Pine is so great.
Yeah,
he both, not for 1 second in this film did I not believe 100% that they were falling for each other.
My God, yes. Oh, and is this a good time to bring up they're a part of the sequel announcement?
Sure.
I guess it depends what this part of the sequel announcement
People know this is a spoiler cast by now, so yeah, they...
Okay,
I should hope so.
You may be surprised or not surprised to hear Chris Pine's coming for the sequel.
No, of course he's coming.
Yeah, because that chemistry is, like, I'm sorry, once you have that chemistry, you don't
mess with that.
You write around it, okay? You find a way to like bring him back in some respect.
I can only think right now, having just heard the news for the first time, the ending I can think of is sort of the Clark Kent's father in the sequel, where he he's hallucinating his dad there. Well, so maybe it'll be
Well,
along
you know,
those
you never
lines.
know what they're going to do because you don't see Steve Trevor shoot the gun and blow up. So there's the slim possibility that he may have figured out a way to eject himself.
He's at a cafe with Batman and
Yeah.
But
really
the sequel
hope
also takes place in the 80s. So
I'm bummed about that. Let me just say that because
When's that take
I'm
place?
really hoping for like a World War II suffragette, Etta Candy, and Wonder Woman, you know, like
yeah,
dynamic duo kind of thing.
I know. I would have really liked to see Etta come back for the sequel. I feel like I didn't see enough Etta.
Yeah, she was a scene stealer. Like,
Yeah.
for sure.
She was fantastic. Well, in the comic books, she's a huge character. She's a gigantic character in the early comic books when it was, you know, being written at that time. So it was great to see them bring her back for this film, and that they took it back, you know, to World War One with Wonder Woman, which I thought was brilliant, so that they could really get it very gritty. It's a very gritty scene. Yeah, because you know you have this juxtaposition of you know Themyscira versus everything else that's going on in the world at the time. You know.
Oh, speaking of Themyscira, can we talk about Robin Wright?
Yes.
Oh my God, how great was she?
She's fantastic.
She's perfect.
Yeah.
So she was the
fucking
one.
badass.
Yeah, she played Antiope, who is the lead general, who basically was ordered to train Diana, but her mother, played by Connie Nielsen, like said, "Well, don't train her too intensely." But Antiope realized how powerful Diana was, and she's like, "No, you know what she is, and we have to train her accordingly."
Well,
Like,
everybody on the sad news was everybody on the island knew what Diana was, except for Diana.
yeah, it was a Truman Show in Themyscira.
If we're gonna go down more apt analogies, it was actually more like Naruto in this. So.
Yeah.
Naruto? Oh, I've always said Naruto, and that's wrong.
It's Naruto over here, but
Well, I'm over here. I'm sorry. I'm white, Paul, and it's Naruto.
Yes. So I watched it sub, not dubbed, and it's Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki.
Okay. Glad we got that squared away. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but Robin Wright was just perfect cast in this.
She was fantastic. I mean, she in all the post interviews has basically like they trained so hard for those scenes, and even Gal, like on the battle scene on the beach where you see these women riding into battle on horseback. Her comment was like, "You've never seen that in a film. You've never seen warrior women like fucking jumping off a cliff and shooting a rope into the side of a thing and swinging and like, you know,
like utterly terrifying if you're approaching that.
Yeah, like
it's not a good scene.
She should be Dread Pirate Roberts,
Yeah.
honestly.
No more Princess Buttercup. Yeah.
Oh no, she's earned her warrior princess status 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see an Antiope spinoff, honestly.
Right? A prequel, an Antiope prequel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How she
Because
became
I'm
the
sorry,
general.
a woman does not age anyway, so
No.
like
No,
I
she's
just thought
fantastic.
that.
I mean, all the stunts you see being done by women were done by actual women. There was no like, you know, if you want to take it way back to the 80s and talk about when all girl stunts were done by boys, and you look at the film BMX Bandits, in which Nicole Kidman stunt man was wearing the worst red wig with a full beard during the movie. You know, these women were all completely badass. They trained in battle. They trained in horse stunts, which is a whole genre all by itself, just to do that. You know, it's one of the most beautifully made scenes in film history, as far as I'm concerned. I loved it.
Yeah, well, and also Antiope is going to somehow be in Justice League.
Somehow.
So
Maybe she's gonna like, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi it for Diana.
Hologram style. Or,
Yeah.
No change, just the hologram.
But yeah, she was like, and also I liked how the Amazons were not all white women.
No, yes, POC. So yes, I love it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see like films like this, even with such a huge budget. Sometimes you can tell they don't care about minutia like that. Something that's just one detail. That's all it is, and they'll just go like, whatever. Like, especially DC. I mean, DC have really been terrible recently.
Yes, they completely have lost my trust, and
and then I can only hope that it was the director, it was Gal, like everyone in there's like, no, we're doing this right. So
it's like they're made by gods. Who's to say gods only make white people?
Right.
Well, hey, if we're going down that route, Jesus was a person of color as well. Like, there's no way he wasn't.
Wait, what? Jesus? Jesus? My Jesus.
No, I'm not going.
Jesus.
That way.
Yes, let's stop right there. I'm not. We're ending that riff right now.
I thought he was a NASCAR fan in a tuxedo t-shirt.
Dear 6 pound 8 ounce Jesus. Learning all your shapes and colors.
Yes. Okay, Brett, why don't we have a look at your notes?
Well, I have no notes, Paul.
No notes at all.
Normal. I either have 8 pages or 0. So this was the scene. It's so fresh. I figured I could just pull from the old memory banks.
Should we discuss some of the tertiary characters?
Yes. Can we start off with Ewan Bremer? Because I love him so much. Yeah. So Ewan Bremer, is it Ewan or Ewan? Do you know, Paul?
I'd have to see how it's written.
E-W-E-N.
Ewan.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I didn't know if you said the Y in there. But obviously, people will know him from Trainspotting.
Yeah, the other Ewan in Trainspotting.
Yes. Yes, not that Ewan. The other Ewan.
Yes.
Trainspotting, Snatch. Yeah. But yeah, he's another scene stealer in this, and just what a fantastic character actor, and once again just so well cast. Brings in a little bit of that humor into like heavy situations, but also kind of a troubled character, which was nice.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it showed like Diana, it like helped Diana see like the heartbreak behind war. Like, it's not just men fighting like blindly for power. Like, people suffer very severe consequences as a result of war, and I think that helps her have some sympathy for humanity.
Yeah,
see consequences like that.
Yeah, he's definitely exhibiting PTSD, majorly, and not like once again beat over the head with it, but just a couple of scenes, and that's all you need to put it together.
Yeah. That just shows someone that's able to embody the character straight away. That you don't need exposition dump.
And I love just that one little scene with, like, he's a little down, like, oh, we're not going to, and Wonder Woman's, of course, we're going to, who's going to sing, and just the kindness there, and I love their little kind of moments that they had.
Okay, who else do we want?
Who else stuck out for you?
Samir.
Yes.
Who looks like the guy who played who was in Cold Blood, who played the killer. But he's not the same guy, but he looks a lot like him. Anyways, but
yes, I know what you mean.
I also thought it was very like moving how he said he wanted to be an actor, but they didn't want people who looked like me.
A little tough to hear.
and also the chief, which I heard he could factor in later on.
Yes.
Is he going to be back around?
Yeah.
Now, see, there's a thing on the chief that was an interesting article that not only is that when he has the only scene in the movie that's not translated. When he greets Diana, nobody knows what he says. And apparently, according to a Native American website, I can't remember the name of, but his scene basically translated into him revealing to her that he is also a demigod.
Yeah.
That his character is actual in war.
Isn't he? And he's canon, isn't he? He's in the... Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's also a god, so it'd be interesting to see him pop up again because he doesn't age just like Diana.
Yeah. Well, he is going to be in the sequel path.
So that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense than Chris Pine. As much as we love Chris Pine in this. Should we talk about the villains?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, the 3 villains in this film. So I'd say I may as well cover the main 2 that we have for most of the film. So both Danny Houston and Elena Anaya, which is a really interesting name to try and say quickly.
It's a very Game of Thrones name, Elena Anaya.
But
I do have Thrones on them, so.
So out of those 2, who should we go with first? What do you think?
Well, I don't know since, Nora can probably fill us in better here since I'm not familiar with the comics, but I wanted to see more from Dr. Poison, or at least I want to know more about her, I guess.
I heard
I guess
she's
that's
not
what I'm
ruled out for factoring in some way in the future.
Also, she didn't die, so
Yeah, she is alive at the
saying.
end.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say she was brilliantly played. I want to give it up to the costume department for her face mask.
Yeah.
It was really amazing.
Well, I guess they took that from a lot of historical precedent. Like, they tried to be, like, historically accurate for, like they tried to, like, they used what was actually, like, what people actually had back then and then kind of amped it up. Like, because obviously she's a brilliant scientist and probably can amp it up.
Yeah, and I ended up finding out the whole thing about that face. The director, when talking to the actor playing it, basically said that Dr. Poison did that to herself. She was testing out her own concoctions on herself to see what would happen.
That makes sense.
So that's why
girl
she
is poison.
You know what? I'm sure there's like a YouTube montage of Dr. Poison with that song.
I sure hope so. If I can trust the internet, I bet you there is. Yeah. And then Ludendorff. What do we think of Ludendorff? I mean, kind of a typical villain. With his cocaine powder vial.
It's like if you can combine like cocaine and Botox into one thing, which I'm surprised that's not a thing.
Cocaine, yeah.
You can't hate on Danny Houston as a villain.
No,
he's brilliant.
No, absolutely not.
No, he was fantastic, but I love how they took, the typical German villain and sort of didn't go full. I mean, obviously Hitler wasn't in power and stuff then, so you can't go full Hitler. But he was very just understated as a villain. Like there was nothing to like about him anyway. He was very cruel and power hungry and all that other kind of stuff. But he did it in such a way where it was like unique to that time period.
I love how he was stubborn and saying, "No, we're not done," even though everybody was saying, "No,
we're starving to death. We've got nothing."
He was he was a very like North Korean dictator about it. He was like, "No, we're fine. We're gonna defeat them."
And of course, the very misdirecting, almost Michael Clark Duncan-esque voice he has. It's got that deep, gravelly voice.
Oh, it's so great.
It's an imposing, presence, that he has.
And I did start to think halfway through the film, I was like, this is a bit too obvious.
That's how I felt the whole time.
He can't be who everyone thinks. It's not going to work out.
Yeah, because they were playing it so hard. That you knew someone else was coming.
Yeah, because there would have been no third act twist, which pretty much every single one of these films ends up having. Yeah, you can't even say, well, what about a character moment? No, they all had those too. Like everything was neatly wrapping up, so there had to be something.
Yeah, so instead it becomes twist. Spoiler: David Thewlis is character.
And I called it from the beginning, but
I was like, I knew there was something weird about him, but like rewatching it a second time, I was like, oh god, I should have caught on way earlier.
Well, from the first moment he sees Diana, he's shocked.
Yeah.
Because he knows who she is.
Yeah.
And then he got scared for a moment, like, oh shit, like what's about to go down right now? But she doesn't know who he is. And then that's when he starts playing with them a little bit. Like, let me see what's really going to happen here. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Right.
And for me, it was just like the second he was on screen, it was like, "Oh, Lupin's in this." Okay. It took me a minute just to get past that, and then of course he had the very stereotypical English accent. Well, back then, there's even more English than his actual.
Right.
But yeah, I enjoyed him once he basically just came out.
Once he turned heel. Yeah, once he turned heel.
Yeah. He was like a deliciously evil villain, like in that English way.
Yeah, it was really cool to see. Like literally, just letting go at the end. He's like, okay, fuck it. Yes, I'm the god of war, and it was fun to see. Although I do have a little bit of an issue when it comes to films like this, where same as Man of Steel, you have two invincible people that fight until one of them isn't as invincible as they were before. Like
you have to resolve it somehow.
Yeah, there has to be a resolution.
Actually, I was going to bring that up. It's always some emotional like climax that like causes the tides to turn.
Yeah,
Every time.
Yeah, it's always it's very Dragon Ball Z-esque, actually. Like the loss of a loved one finally makes them snap, and she goes Super Saiyan at the end.
Mm-hmm. Goes Dark Phoenix or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is so gratifying to be talking to people that get that bloody reference. So many times I mention something like that, and I go, "Huh? Never mind."
Oh no, they had Dragon Ball Z nights in the dorm lounge in my dorm freshman year.
Right. Trust me, it was an apt reference.
I will trust it. Okay. I'm not going to go to the tape and check. Yeah, we're good. No hate on Dragon Ball Z. Just not going to go down that road.
One thing I wanted to cover, actually, nothing directly linked to what's in the film, but what came out afterwards when they were actually screening the film. I'm assuming you've at least heard of what happened with the Alamo Draft House in Austin, Texas.
Oh yeah, the all-female screening.
How dare they?
I want an Alamo Draft House here, for fuck's sake.
I know everybody wants an Alamo Draft House. They're fucking rad.
I have a Flix brew house, which...
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, let me say this. We have the luxury loungers here in Ventura, and where I'm moving to have like a more draft house feel in the theater around the corner from my house. Mm-hmm. So you have like where you can get all the food, and they have the 21 and over theater where it's like you can just drink and shit during the movie.
Well, that's kind of like what Flix is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flix is amazing.
For people that don't know.
They brew their own beer.
Yeah, Alamo Draft House announced that they were going to have one women-only screening of Wonder Woman, because go women. Like, it's hey, let's just have an all-women screening of the film that all women have wanted for a very long time. Sure,
right.
Sounds fine. And then a lot of people online, you can probably guess the gender, decided that this was sexist. And how dare this occur? There's no way that you would have an all-men...
Men have been treated unfairly for far too long.
The men's rights activists.
Yes.
Which is my favorite actual thing.
Who Betsy DeVos, takes meetings with.
Yeah.
She took a meeting with them to discuss campus rape, and that's not a joke.
Yeah.
Nope, it is not. Yeah. Wish it was. It's not.
Because that's just the real victims of
it's cool.
rape.
Both people are usually drunk, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Not trying to get too dark.
This can be edited out.
No, it's staying in.
But
yes, Alamo Draft House response to people getting outraged that there were one women-only screening of the film was to add more women-only screenings of the film.
Mm-hmm. I know.
That's good business, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good business.
Yeah, and it's like,
hey, guess what? They're the majority of the population, assholes. So
thank you.
And I believe that the owner of the draft house said, you can't wait half an hour. Like, we have more than one screen showing this, but it's fuck it. More women-only screening of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And they all sold out, and they just keep asking for more.
Because let me just say this. Nobody had to advertise this, but when I saw Magic Mike, I'd never been in a theater where it was just all women. It was all women, about 3 heterosexual bro douches who were there with their girlfriend who didn't want them to, look at Channing Tatum without them present, and then 2 gay guys. And before the movie started, these women were going crazy. They were throwing $1 bills at the screen. They were so hyped up. And, and I get that kind of girls' night out kind of thing. But this is more of something that all women have waited for their whole life, to see a woman like this on screen who is exactly how we all feel about ourselves. We are capable, we are smart, we can fucking do shit and get shit done. And it's so important, especially for young girls, especially today in the America that, is kind of surrounding them. For them to be able to see that is, unbelievably important right now.
Yeah, and it's not I know some people might not understand all that. They're just well, just wondering. It's you couldn't do this with Lucy, say, there's a woman carrying a film, but it's not the same.
It's not.
It's about what she represents and her moral compass.
Lucy is a more spiritual film than Wonder Woman, I want to say. It's a humanity film versus Wonder Woman that's really about the power of women overall in the whole world.
And when it gets down to it, like people view superheroes as a boys' club. It's a boys' thing. Superheroes are boys' things. That's what boys are interested in. And how dare you? Like, not only are you gonna make us watch a woman, you won't even let us watch it with you. Like, how dare you?
Yeah, we don't get to see it first.
Basically, the men were just coming off as the jealous boyfriend. Like, oh, who are you texting? What's going on?
Yeah.
It's like, you're really putting the rest of us under a bad light here, guys. Can you
Hey,
tell this back?
I'm totally fine saying suck, and they do suck. So yeah, they're
Some
the
of them very
worst.
well, I'm told.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really wanted to make sure that we covered that because I love it. Kind of actually, I wanted to bring something up when we were talking about it, but I couldn't really fit it in. The way that this film covers feminism and women power, I'm doing it to covers that style is the way that I think all films should cover all of these sort of hot button topics, which is it doesn't fucking comment on them. It just is. Like,
exactly. She's like, why is there a difference? Like, what? Like,
yeah,
are you
that's
kidding
such a
me?
great take.
Like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
Yes.
how is this even a thing?
Yeah,
Why do they even have to fight for their rights? That's ridiculous to me.
It's the same as whenever there's a TV show or a film I'm watching, and it is just like, so there's husband and wife there, husband and wife there, husband and husband, husband and wife there, like woman and wife, and nothing is said by any character in the film, and the only person that would ever say anything in those films or shows or content are the people that are portrayed as sexist or racist or anything like that. Like, they're the outliers. Everyone else in this entire universe is absolutely fine. And I love it about this because the only thing that you see in this film are slight outrage in the generals in the war room scene. And then everyone else is just like, oh, she can do that? Great. That's about it. That's the only
exactly. She's accepted as she should be.
which is
for the most part.
Which is how obviously I'm getting on my soapbox here, but I just wish that everything could be like that, and unfortunately, still there are things where it's like people are like, oh, they're on a pedestal.
Yeah, look how feminist we're being, or look how pro-gay we're being, or just like look, but. No, you just handle it maturely and have a well-developed character. Yeah, and it will work out just fine.
Just.
You mean like shoehorning? Yeah, you mean like shoehorning like Sulu's gay character into the Star Trek?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah.
And we're obviously not in charge of everything that goes on in Hollywood, but
we aren't.
I know.
It's terrible news.
Sorry to drag you down.
Yes, we should be.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really hopeful that in about 5 to 10 years' time, people like us are going to be the guys that are high enough up that are just kind of making these decisions. Hopefully, the older people that are the ones that are like, oh, well, this is very forward-thinking. We must do this now. It's like, it's not forward-thinking. It's just the way the world is.
It's just the way most of the world has been. Yeah.
Well, it's also like with Spider-Man, like the MJ character, like who they're positioning her to be, allegedly. Spoiler alert. Mm-hmm. It's somebody who gives Peter shit.
Well,
she's not just damsel in distress.
Well, no. I mean, does anyone know what her introduction in the comic books is? Then, like, have they not seen that? Because it really is just. I was like, he comes home or something, and then May says, "Oh, Mary Jane's here," and she's just there, like, "Well, Tiger, you just won the jackpot." Like, that's who Mary. That's who MJ
but it's like,
was.
but it's not. But it's more like but more than like saying, "Look at me, I'm hot. You should be appreciative." It's more like, "Dude, get over yourself and your shit, okay?
Yeah,
you're not that special."
Yeah, I've always seen MJ as being kind of like always being sure of herself and not necessarily the damsel distress, with the exception when the villain just decided to kidnap someone. I mean, there's always going to be damsels in distress. So I kind of hope that goes away eventually.
But tying back to Wonder Woman, back to that opening kind of scene on the beach, I love that, she's the reason that Steve Trevor survives.
Yes.
Pulling him out of the wreckage. Yeah.
And can we all raise a glass to Joss Whedon, like, not getting his script through for Wonder Woman? Because it would have been the Steve Trevor movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been.
I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what what he would have done with it, but I do
Maybe
agree
directing it, but not writing it.
yeah, he definitely could have directed it. Yeah, and I wonder if directors of Marvel and DC films sign non-competition clauses in their contracts.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Because Joss Whedon, like, defected or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's gone to the dark
Screw you
side.
guys, I'm going here.
I'm
But
going
Joss,
to
screw
DC.
you guys. Yeah.
Screw you guys, I'm going to Batcave.
I'm going to live in the shadows. Yeah. That's the worst Bane impression you're going to hear all day. What you're welcome.
I don't know. I'm sure you could do, like, go on YouTube and find some pretty epic ones.
But if you ever want to try it, all you really need is a cup, just a slight Scottish accent.
Yes. Hello, bird.
That's not too bad. All right. Well, I didn't know we were allowed to use props, so apologies.
There you go. I've driven many people mad doing that.
Are there any scenes or anything about this that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about? Scenes that charmed you or moved you or didn't like, whatever. Anybody?
And I've got one scene that I probably enjoyed the most entire film, which is after the trench scene. So, obviously her powers are starting to grow, and then they get to the town.
Mhm.
Oh, that was badass.
That whole scene was good. Obviously, I wasn't gripping the seat real tightly, but it was a on the edge of the seat thing where you are just watching this woman going from person to person, just killing it without a huge amount of killing, but still. And yeah, just seeing. It's one of the things I liked about the film, actually. It's not like she's trying to get stronger and stronger. It's that she again, kind of Sayany from Dragon Ball Z, like the more she fights, the more she taps into that side of herself, the more power she gets. And she just does these things instinctively.
Well, they told her to not. They tried to keep her from doing that because that would alert Ares to her presence.
Yes.
Well, the Amazons didn't want her to, fully use her power because it would send the bat signal up that she was alive, and here I am. But I think two major things on all of the battle scenes. You don't have one moment of the battle scenes where you're getting a gratuitous tit shot or ass shot of Wonder Woman.
No, there are no Michael Bay shots.
She's never shot from the male gaze, not for 1 second. And one article that I read that I had to really look the fourth time I went. This woman basically said it's 2 seconds of film time, but right after she finishes annihilating Ares, when she lands, there's a tight shot on her, and you see her thigh jiggle.
I read about that.
And this woman wrote an entire article about that, like basically saying, thank you for showing that, Patty Jenkins, because when a person has muscles and they are using them to take the impact of something, that's what a muscle does. And you see a real moment of she's a woman with a body, and this is what it looks like when a strong woman does something. There was no... there was never a shot, like I said, you didn't have the tit or the ass shots, which is where I feel bad for Scarlett Johansson as an example in the Avengers and everything. It's constant tit and ass shots. Not that
zoomed right in on those black leather pants.
Okay, I'm not complaining about her body. No. It's just you're never seeing just Black Widow, except for the very first time you see her in the first Iron Man movie, when you see her come in and just kick everyone's fucking ass. You're like, who is this? Yeah. And then after that, when you finally know she's Black Widow, you don't really see that, and that's sad. And I'm hoping the next Avengers will take a note from this and not show Scarlet Witch or Black Widow in just the boob shots.
Right.
Let's show as the powerful women that they are.
And we also got Chris Pine almost naked.
Yeah. I mean, he was naked except for his hand.
His hand very well placed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And apparently that was improvised as well.
Yeah.
Him talking about his anatomy was improvised.
Above average.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't surprise me.
No. But that
he's come a long way from his Lindsay Lohan co-starring days.
Oh boy.
Oh my god! Everyone needs to watch his SNL because he just
So
nailed
good.
it. It's so
Well, not
so
only
good.
You get a
Not only
backpack
about the
fashion
whole
show.
Chris thing,
Yes,
but the problem
exactly.
with
I've never wanted to have a
with Chris
backpack
Pine,
fashion show.
Chris Evans, Chris
more in my
Hemsworth.
life.
But the other thing is, both he and Chris Pine play Steves with two first names.
Yeah.
He's playing Steve Trevor, and Chris Pine plays Steve Rogers. Like it's so confusing.
We're gonna start to bring it full circle with the next Star Trek movie because we're gonna get to see two Chris's playing father and son, which I cannot wait.
I know that's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
So
I must say,
And father is younger than son.
I know it's crazy.
yeah, I must say that I've been enjoying all of these sort of male stars that are really starting to kick up, especially in the Marvel or Chris Pine as well. But they all seem to have a real sense of humor and are really funny if you let them.
They're self-aware.
Yeah, and
which is very much appreciated.
Like going back to Ghostbusters with Hemsworth as the bimbo receptionist, that a lot of that was him improvising, such as when he was wearing the glasses, he rubs his eyes with glasses. Melissa McCarthy calls him out on it. That was entirely improvised by him.
And they all talked about how it wasn't fair. They were like, when they were doing the press tour, they were like, "It's not right. It's not right. Like, you're not allowed to be that funny." And he was like,
No, it's like John Hamm. Like, no, you don't get to be this charming and funny and look like that. No, screw you.
Yeah.
Being funny's my thing, asshole. You just be boring and dramatic.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should probably. I'm sorry.
Well, and also that's why I'm looking forward to Taika Waititi's version of Thor, because I think that he will definitely let Chris let his comedy his talents out in terms of comedy.
Well, even just in the trailer, that you get to see he's clearly letting himself a little loose on that thing.
Yeah,
and that.
But it looks fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. Obviously Thor films have been kind of okay for me.
I am excited.
This Ragnarok looks amazing. Yeah. I really like the first one. Dark World was
Jeff Goldblum.
Goldblum, yes, always Goldblum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if he's gonna have his truck lying around.
Oh, God. I hope so. Yeah. All right. Should we wrap up? Some final
I think
closing thoughts here? Yeah. Kealeen can get out of her podcasting situation.
Yeah, so just before we get into our final thoughts, we did get technically I got 3 responses while asked for comments and thoughts on this. I got a thing from Sarah Poulton saying, "What's your email? I'll send something over." And then she didn't. So thanks, Sarah.
We will.
and for
Sarah's a little busy too. That's
for those
okay.
of you thinking of writing in at a later date, I genuinely do just read every response we get. So if you're going to do something, you might want to follow up on it.
We'll quote tweet it if she gets it out to us.
I'll definitely retweet it on my account.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yes, so we got Paul Goodman from the One Good Thing podcast, and he said, "I loved it. DC made a film I can get emotionally invested, that made me laugh, and that actually had a clear message. I thought Gal Gadot was great, and pairing her with Patty Jenkins was a masterstroke. She really got this elegant and powerful beauty to the forefront of the character, and, this is my favourite thing, proved that there is no DCEU conspiracy. Just a lot of shitty DCEU movies, and now one great one. The CGI was still a little rubbish from time to time. Which I can see what he's talking about.
Yeah,
and then Rogue Squadron podcast got a hold of us to say that DC finally make a good movie. Everything was great, a very powerful womanly movie without being overly feminine. World War I was a great set choice since most of our recent superhero movies have been modern day. I'm glad Captain Kirk died at the end. It raised the stakes for Diana and showed her what loss is. The only complaint I have is Ares. I get that he was Professor Lupin when infiltrating the British government, but once he assumed his form, I couldn't believe it was still that old face behind the mask. Was expecting him to be a bit more godly.
That is a valid point. That did cross my mind, I will say.
Well, and did anyone notice who they were sort of hinting at as Zeus? During the shots,
apparently not. Maybe, yeah.
Well, you just barely see it, but to me, there was a couple, like, I've seen it 4 times now, and I'm still like, who could they possibly, and I don't know if they're ever going to put Zeus in later, so they're sort of leaving it nebulous, but, oh shit, now I can't remember, but it'll come to me in a minute.
Alright, so yes, on top of that, does anyone have any real final thoughts they want to finish up with?
I'll go and then I'll toss it over to our guest. But I was super excited, first time I went into this, the theater, absolutely loved it. Second watch, usually diminishing returns on this, loved it even more the second time. I thought, you know what, because I had some third act issues the first time. Those issues went completely but out of the way in the second watch because you have to have that kind of typical superhero ending, and I'm fine with that. But the film is amazing. It's one of my favorites of the year. We've had a lot of good movies come out in the past few months, and I would still put it top 2 or 3 for me for the year. It's one I do want to get back to the theater and see while it's still in there. It's one I'm definitely going to be buying on iTunes, and just everyone needs to see this. I'm sure you've seen it if you're listening to this. You need to see it again. You need to show it to other people. I just can't say enough good things about it. I love it.
I would say that it's definitely a film that, number one, DC needed. Like, if this had been bad, I don't think there would actually be a Justice League film. Like, they'd be done.
Well, the implications are bigger than that. We wouldn't get any more, or the chance of getting positive female roles is also hurt because everything has to be great for them.
Yeah, and it's just, I'm so happy that this worked out the way it did. You've got Gal Gadot was fantastic as Wonder Woman, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the character more. And I did enjoy that, as the Rogue Squadron pod said, I did like that Chris Pine died at the end. I wasn't fully expecting it, and I really, really, really hope they don't retcon that. I want to stay dead.
I'm
some sort of time loop storyline.
Yeah, I'm interested into how they are gonna work into it.
Maybe it would be great if somehow Wonder Woman does something which causes him to crash land at the island in the first place. Like, if they somehow figure that around, but yeah, whatever.
Oh, so it's going to be like Lost?
Sort of, yes. Maybe she flies around the Earth fast enough that she goes back in time and accidentally flies through the wing. I don't know.
And then puts him in Jodie Foster's ship from Contact, so he goes through a wormhole and suddenly in the 1980s.
I love it. Right.
It just borrows every single plot point from every other time travel film in existence. There's a DeLorean somewhere.
Oh god, I would love if they worked in a DeLorean in this, since it's set in the 80s.
Oh my god, yeah, just in the backgroround somewhere. Out of focus.
All you hear is the sound of it disappearing. That's all you get.
Or the Batmobile as a DeLorean.
Yeah, or you hear the cloister bell somewhere. But yes.
When this thing hits 88, you're going to see some serious bat shit.
Some serious guano.
Yes.
And fuck it, they get Jim Carrey as Ace Ventura to say that line too.
All right.
But yes, as I was trying to say, I really enjoyed this film. I'm really happy that Wonder Woman was done right, and I'm looking forward to more from that character. And as we kind of said before, I kind of couldn't give a shit who else is going to be in this lead film. I'm looking forward to seeing more from that, and I guess maybe The Flash. I'm interested to see that take. Yeah.
All right, so closing thoughts on your end. Whoever wants to go first there.
Listen, I have a Wonder Woman tattoo that I've had since before this movie was even an idea in space. But I've been waiting for this movie my entire life, since growing up watching Linda Carter, spin her way into Wonder Woman. And recently, before I saw the film, I started rewatching the episodes of Wonder Woman just to see. And it's really interesting how for the 70s, Wonder Woman was terribly feminist and progressive, but looking at it through a 2017 lens, it's so backwards and so terribly not feminist in so many ways that looking at the evolution of even what's acceptable for women to portray as a strong woman from 40 years ago to now is really kind of amazing. And Patty Jenkins, like, I fucking love her. She's amazing. I really, really love what she did with this character because she honored the whole point of the character and didn't, swing it into some feminist manifesto that's like over the top and anti-man. This film in no way is anti-men or masculinity or anything like that. It's just a film to me that's about humanity and about what really, spoiler alert, what's really important and what humans have above all else is our compassion and our capacity for love. And I think that especially right now with everything that's happening, that's like the most important message that could possibly be put out there for young men and young women is that above all else, you always have to be on the side of love. And so I love this movie so much. Yeah.
Kealeen?
All right. All I can say is this movie will probably be in theaters for at least another month. If you have not seen it, please, it is absolutely worth every penny to go see this. You've already said if you've seen it once, like it gets better every time you rewatch it. Go see it with people, especially women who are important in your life. The second time I saw it with my mother, and it was an even more emotional and moving experience because I think she was crying a lot. And it's a really moving experience to see how it is to see a woman in this position that has been occupied. And I say this as a fan of comic books and superheroes. It is really incredible to see this trope and genre we've seen dominated by men for so long finally as a woman, and it's done in a way that is so inclusive to everybody, but not in a way that's too precious or too I hate to use this word PC. It's just it's so organic. The whole message in this is so organic, and it's so it just works. And I had been so nervous and wanting this movie to be good for so many reasons, and it delivered beyond all expectation. It's just give Patty Jenkins more movies, please.
Yes,
absolutely. Give all women more creative control.
Well, the other thing I want to say that I was just thinking about because I'm just scrolling through the pictures from IMDb. The other thing that it does is it showed women in various states of aging as still strong and powerful. None of the women had their wrinkles CGI'd out or, were wearing 10 pounds of makeup to look young and fresh. It was like they just were. And it's so rare for a movie, unless it's about old women who are supposed to be old women. Then you get to see everybody's wrinkles and that's okay. But it's like women are, beautiful and powerful and smart no matter where they are on the age, range. And that's also unique to this film. So that's why I say every woman should see it, whether they're 10 years old or they're 80 years old. It applies to all women, this movie.
Also, just if you're a fan of The Princess Bride, with the first 20 minutes of this movie will have you cheering, because that's another movie that seems to appeal to all demographics. The first 20 minutes of this movie will have you cheering, and then you'll be like, oh, but then you'll be like, wait, everybody else is awesome in this movie.
That'd be a good double feature.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, just because we didn't mention it, P.S. The Lasso of Truth is fucking awesome in this movie.
Oh, yes.
Shout out to The Lasso of Truth.
Shout out to The Lasso.
You did great work, Lasso.
Yeah, when they kind of Guantanamo Chris Bay with Chris Pine. With the Lasso of Truth, that was great.
I don't know if anyone has seen it here. Have you seen the comic where they're kind of poking fun at the fact that Wonder Woman is always deflecting bullets with her indestructible bracelets, and it's Superman just pokes in her, it's like, you're indestructible, right? Yeah. Why are you blocking the bullets? And she just drops them down, and then it just keeps hitting her breastplate and jiggling, and everyone just starts laughing. It's like, gotcha.
Also, he had to mansplain her armor to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for that. That note.
It was kind of, I really did enjoy it. We've gone for basically it'll be an hour and a half at this point, and like we have just talked about the characters and stuff. We've not gone into any of the little things. Right?
Yeah, I assume people have seen it or will see it if they're listening to this.
Yeah, so I love it. I love that this film has allowed that. We've been talking about things that have needed to be talked about for quite a long time.
Right,
so,
right, absolutely.
Yeah, so that I'm just so glad this film is out, because now it's stupid that a major film needs to come out that loads of people go and enjoy, and now everyone's on side with it. Exactly. Come on, you should have been talking about this before.
Yeah, absolutely. It shouldn't have been like, oh, well, I'll wait to see if it's good. No, you should have been excited.
You should have been first in line. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I saw it opening night, first show, and same thing with Valerian that's dropping this Friday. I already have my ticket for Thursday night.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear what do you think on that.
To go see that. Luc Besson is one of my favorite filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited.
It looked gorgeous. That's
gonna
one
at
I
least
think.
look amazing. I know that.
Yeah, that's one I think I will spring to see in 3D.
So he's been dreaming about making this movie since he was 10 years old.
Yeah, he said because the technology was not there yet to make it until the technology caught up with his vision.
Yeah. And this is another graphic novel turned into a movie. So there will I've never read this particular graphic novel, but there will be fans of that. So I'm hoping that it lives up to their expectations. Unlike the Dark Tower movie that my sister has already threatened to burn all the theaters down with. So
what?
She's not excited. They're messing with the characters. I think it looks.
What?
As the person who's never read the books, I look at it and I go, that looks like a really good movie. And that's a surprise for me because I don't generally like Stephen King movies. But my sister is like, no, she's going to have a protest outside of all the theaters in America.
Idris is going to be fantastic. I know.
I would love Idris Elba. Sexual chocolate in any movie.
I've recently been watching Luther at the end of the second now, so I'm really enjoying him in that. So I will
Idris
probably
Elba's
see.
amazing.
I'll probably see Dark Tower at some point this. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get there.
Yes, we do need to wrap this up.
We probably should wrap this
people
up.
can
before tomorrow.
Go on.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. So, yes, I have Game of Thrones prep to get us.
So you guys may as well let everyone know how they can get a hold of you. Nora, you first. Where can people find you?
Oh my goodness. You can find me on Twitter at One Raging Buddha or at TAO_podcast with Kealeen. And you can find our podcast, Talk Amongst Ourselves, on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play. And that other podcast we're on too, Soiled Restroom Cinema. If you want to hear us talk about really bad movies. Sometimes it's more fun to talk about good movies, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to both.
There are, yeah.
And Kealeen, what about you?
You can find me everywhere that Nora just mentioned on our podcast, Talk Amongst Ourselves. And our other podcast, Soiled Restroom Cinema, at on Twitter, where she mentioned. You could also find me on my Twitter account. It's at Keltolean, KELTOLEAN on Twitter. So, yep.
Not to nitpick, but how come you never bother spelling the whenever you say that?
Oh, I don't know.
Just a basic sense of understanding that people know how to spell
the. Every single time you said at Keltolean, you go at Keltolean. KELTOLE.
Right, we're not going to end this very pro-women by you deriding a woman for
no mansplaining her
don't mansplain her Twitter handle.
It's like reciting your own phone number, okay? Like how often you tell yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
It's like
she's in a hot car right now, Paul. Give her a freaking break.
No, we will continue this as long as possible. But yeah, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much for everyone for making this work.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me back yet again.
Yeah, I mean, the second I was like, okay, we're talking Wonder Woman, I was like, gotta get Nora on because I knew you were a fan of this film, and Kealeen, I knew that you would have a lot to add as well. So yeah, it was great having you guys on.
As always.
We appreciate it very much.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to bother with social media. I said it at the beginning; it's too long. So, with all that being said, I've been Paul.
I've been Brian.
See you guys.
See ya.